It was 1 year ago, this month, May, of last year, that I bought my Breville juicer. And I didn't get to use it much during this past year because during the COVID-19 pandemic, I wasn't going to the store. I was staying home as much as possible, so I didn't have fresh fruits and vegetables to make juice. However, just recently a friend gave me an idea because he knows how to make pesto the proper way, which is that to get a really good flavored pesto, you have to crush the leaves to release the juice. You can't just put the leaves in a food processor and chop it up. You get chopped basil, but really good pesto is made by crushing the leaves. That's why the old recipes would use a mortar and pestle to grind down the leaves, to crush those cells, the leaf structure, to release the juice, right? That's what flavors pesto. It gives it that good basil flavor. He said, you got that juicer. What if you were to use the juicer to really extract the juice and then combine that juice back with the leaf pulp again, and then add the other ingredients like garlic, pine nuts. I use almonds, things like that, cheese, olive oil to make your pesto. So what happened was I had to go down to get my first and second Moderna vaccine shot, and right near there is a place that sells produce. It's a big produce market, wholesale produce market, and I know I can buy basil there in a 1 pound bag, and they had one, so I brought it home and I used it to make pesto. And I used this video, what you're going to see coming up, in a different video on my other channel, my Mobile Home Gourmet channel. But I thought it stands by itself, it stands alone so well that I thought it would be a good video to put on my kitchen vlog channel. So let me show you what I did. So here's my juicer. Here's my 1 pound bag of basil. And I'm going to take out the larger stems, but I'm going to use the stems toward the end to force the last of the leaf pulp out, and there'll be some juice in the stems. How good that will be, I don't know. But just to get started here, let's see, open this up. Haven't used this juicer in, well, it's been like almost a year. This is on, and it's starting to go. Push it in. And already I'm seeing some juice building up in there. What I'm also going to do is put my cloves of garlic in there. Might as well get those crushed in. And then just keep going with my basil. I'm putting the last of the leaves in now. And I'm watching my fluid level. I haven't gotten up to the maximum quantity yet. I know if you run it a little bit, sometimes you can just get a little bit more juice out. Okay, that looks good. So there's some nice basil juice, and I got to show you what's been coming out the back end. This is the pulp, and it's not dry, but it's barely damp. And I'm going to put that in a separate bowl. But before I do that, close this up again, I want to start putting in the stems. Toss the last of that in there and get the liquid out of the stems, and then I'll watch the hopper, this exit port, to see what happens when the stems start to come out. The stems are just now getting ready to come out the back, so I'm going to turn this off. That's the juice from the stems. Don't know what that's going to taste like. Make sure I get the last of it out. There's the juice. That's my basil juice right there. And then here's the pulp that I'm going to use to make my pesto by combining these two. So here's the juice now. I got just over a cup of that delicious looking pesto juice. Make sure I get every last bit of this deliciousness out of that. Okay, there's my pesto juice. This is the pulp from all of that. Gonna put that in and then just start mixing it. And that pulp also has in it the pulp from the garlic, and garlic juice went into the pesto juice. And just mix this around until basically it's like I'm rehydrating all of that crushed, all of those crushed basil leaves. Okay, what I've got here now is some ground almonds. You can use pine nuts, you can use walnuts, whatever you like. I also have pecans that I could have roasted. I'm going to work some of this in there. I'm not using anything by measurement. If you want measurements, I have on my website, mobilehomegourmet.com, and also here on YouTube, I have a video on making 4 different kinds of pesto. It's probably not going to taste very good, but I want to taste it for garlic. So get my infamous red handle tasting spoon out. I want more garlic in there. I have some better than bouillon garlic base. It's roasted garlic. I'm going to put some of that in there. Work that in. Quite a bit, because I didn't use a whole lot of garlic cloves when I made this. Okay. Again, a little bit of a taste. This has been in my mouth once already, so I'll just put a piece on my spoon. Now that's starting to get a nice garlicky flavor. Ooh, that's good. That is good. All right, I've got some extra virgin olive oil. I'll move that out of the way. Start pouring some of that in there. That's looking good. And there's one more ingredient that has to go in this, and that is some grated cheese. You can use Romano, you can use Parmesan. I happen to have Romano. I grated this up this morning. I actually shredded it, and then I put it in my food processor. This makes me think of my grandmother, my mother's mother, when she would cook. This is how she would cook. And Mom would ask her, "How much are you putting in there?" "Oh, just enough." "Well, how much is enough?" "What do you mean, how much is enough?" "Enough is enough." They were Italian. They were Italian. Red handle tasting spoon. Again, it's been in my mouth once already, so do that. Boy, do I add any more cheese? I don't know, maybe just a little bit. And maybe just a little bit more of the almonds. It's getting such a good flavor already. I don't want to overdo it so that any one ingredient overpowers any other. People who know how I cook, they know I like a balance of flavors. Now see, that to me looks like a really nice pesto. It's not a really wet pesto. It's not a runny pesto. Like I wouldn't put this as is over pasta or mix it in with pasta, I would make an oilier pesto for pasta. But if I don't want it to drizzle out of whatever food I'm using this in, like I like to make a lot of lamb with pesto, in which case this is the way I like my pesto. Not too wet. One more taste. And then I might adjust this with a little bit of salt, maybe some pepper. Although those ingredients aren't typical for pesto. Ooh, that's good. It's got a nice garlicky flavor to it. I'm going to put a hint of salt in that. And as far as what I'm going to do with this big, huge bowl of pesto, I don't know how much I've got there. Between the oil and the 1 pound of basil, I probably have close to 1.5 pounds of pesto. I'm going to put this in little packets and freeze it. And then I'll have pesto to use later. And this is what I have. This is a few packets. What have I got? 6 in here. I have close to a dozen, maybe 10 of these packets. This is frozen, right? Frozen pesto. I made a lot of it, obviously, with a 1 pound bag of basil. And then I put it in my freezer, and now I've got it whenever I want it. And I've already used it several times. I fed a friend with some. I gave him some to take home for him and his wife. So it makes a lot, and it'll last a long time in the freezer. So that's my way of using the Breville juicer to make homemade, delicious pesto.